Okay, so I am starting here with the mashed potatoes. I'm gonna boil the water on high heat. Add some flavor to the water, a tablespoon of sea salt, and a tablespoon of chicken bouillon. And that's seasoning the water. I have the potatoes cut so that they will cook faster and the flavor will go into all of the potatoes. So once the water comes to a boil, I'll go ahead and throw the potatoes in there and then let it cook until tender. I did leave very little skin on the potatoes because I do want mashed potatoes with some skin, which is nutritional for you. If you don't like the skin, just take it all the way off. Most of the time I do take it all the way off, but I'm in the mood for some skin in there, so I left it. So we're gonna let this come to a boil. So I'm about to season the pork chops. I have some dried thyme, some garlic powder, Montreal seasoning, smoked paprika, black pepper, and Lawry seasoning salt. This type of seasoning salt on pork chops is just match made in heaven. I don't do McCormick, even though that's what I grew up on. I like Lawry's. For this steak seasoning, this gives it a good kick and it's a bang. It's just a mixture of salt, spices, pepper, onion, garlic, onion, sunflower oil, and a little bit of paprika. I will be adding some smoked paprika to it still. I patted these pork chops dry with a paper towel. So yeah, these pork chops are not super cold like they were after they finished the frosting. You do want them to kind of warm up, not get room temperature because of course it'll spoil, but you want it to kind of not be so cold going into the hot oven, stove, or grease. You want to cool the meat off a little bit or let it warm up, and kind of like how you do when you bake. You let your eggs and butter come to room temp. You want to do for the same for your meat and let it sit out for maybe about 15 minutes before you put it into such a high heat. That way it's just all cohesive. The meat is not too cold while you're dipping it into something very hot. That's just a hack. So to not cross-contaminate, I rinsed it first to sink out because I cleaned the pork chops off in this. I cleaned it with some lime juice. So yeah, I cleaned it in the sink. We don't want those germs when we wash the dishes or rinse them. So you can just sprinkle a little bit of vinegar and some baking soda. Natural home remedy. Let it sit there so that it'll kill the germs as well as the dishes. I put raw meat on there, so I'll sprinkle a little bit of, and you hear that sizzle? It's bubbling and working, but we want to let it sit and actually all get activated to kill the germs. They say don't clean your meat because it spreads too many germs, but if you do clean it, there's a way to go ahead and get all of the germs and bacteria off of your dishes and your sink. So as you can see, the water has come to a boil. I did rinse these off in some cold water, and we're gonna just drop them in one by one. Don't burn yourself. Don't plop it too hard either. Ooh. Could just slide the plate in there, but that'll make a big splash. And again, I chop these up. Not only will the flavor get in there doing it like that, but it'll cook faster. we're gonna keep the lid off and just let these go. It depends on how many potatoes you have as far as how long, so I'll just stick a fork in there. Once it's tender enough to stick a fork through, they're ready to be mashed and seasoned up. How I do it as far as the servings for each potato, if it's a big size potato, for every 2 people I use a potato. So I had some big and small ones mixed in here, and this will be for 5. So I'm gonna also season my flour. You just want enough flour to coat. Oh, I'm making a mess. You want enough flour to coat the pork chop. So there's really no set amount on that, but this is, that's probably a good 2 cups in there. I didn't need that much, but I let my little girl do it for me. So I put a teaspoon of sea salt, and then I sprinkle some paprika. That's about a teaspoon also. Onion powder, and a good mix in this flour just to give it a little flavor, because it can make it taste a little bland. Although we season the pork chops, we just want it extra crispy and delicious. So we want to season the flour too. So yep, that's it. When you flour it, just make sure the flour covers it entirely. Shake it off the excess. Depending on how big your bowl is, you want to just do it one at a time. Pat it, pat it, pat it. Make sure it's on there good. Rub it, rub it, rub it. And it's coated. I'm gonna shake off the excess flour. Set it to the side. Get the next one. Just keep it going. Set it to the side here. And while I'm doing this, my grease is warming up. You hear it sizzling. And you can use I reuse my grease. I grew up that way, and to be honest, there's some flavor in there anyway. As long as it's not like seafood, it's okay to reuse it. I mean, to me, if the color is still golden, it's good. Because otherwise you'll waste it just reusing and reusing and reusing. Now, if you're against that, you know, to each his own, but I reuse mine, and I just added a little bit of fresh grease to mine, vegetable oil. That's what we'll be frying this in. So yeah, rub, press it so that it'll stick on there. Shake it, flip it, do the same on the other side. Get the excess, spank it. Sizzling, that's what we want. We want it hot so that we can go ahead and fry these pork chops. It's sizzling. You want to hear it sizzle, and then you can go ahead and just gently lay it in. And don't overcrowd the pan, because that will make the temperature drop and they won't fry. It'll just be sitting there soaking up grease. So about 3 for this size pan is good. Or I could probably put some small pieces. This like this is really small, so I'll put this back here. But everyone has their own lane. We don't want to overcrowd it. So this is cooking on high heat. It is golden brown, but not super crispy. I do want to make sure it cooks all the way through. And it is crispy and golden, but not cooked so long that it's rubbery. So it just depends on your stove. It depends on how crispy you want it, how big the pork chops are. But it's been going for about, what, 10 minutes now? I'd say about a good 10 minutes for 3. On high heat though. So yeah, I'm getting them out now. I have a spatula that has slits in it that's releasing the grease, and I'll do like let it jiggle and stay here over the pot to let the excess grease come off. And then I'm sitting it on this plate here with a paper towel. If you have like a cooling metal rack, you can sit it on that and put some paper towels underneath it. Either one works. You just want to let that grease, some of that grease come out. Grease is still hot, of course, because we just fried up a batch. I am going to turn the heat down a little bit, because as it continues to stay on, it does get even hotter. and it overheats. So we took out that first batch. We're going to add in our second. You don't want to put raw meat in with, you know, food that's halfway done. So we just do it in batches. Move that over. Like I said, don't overcrowd. Our potatoes are still going. They're not tender yet. And then we will do the green beans last. They're done. I'm going to squish them about halfway. And then we're going to season them. Get some butter in there. Have a masher. If you don't have a masher, of course you could just use a fork. These gadgets just make it a little bit more convenient. It doesn't mean it's necessary. Or you have to, and you can't accomplish mashing these without it. Yep, that's that. And I have some garlic powder, not salt. Just sprinkle it. Sprinkle it over the top. Same with the pepper. Enough to sprinkle it over the top. Some onion powder, which I'm running out of. Some cream cheese. That's a good 2 tablespoons. And my butter. What happened to my butter? So I just put 2 tablespoons of sour cream. I'm gonna put 3 tablespoons of butter in here. Real butter, not margarine. I can't believe it's not butter, because it's really not butter. Yeah, none of that. Real butter. And then we will give it a good little stir. And add some milk to it. Break this stuff up.
And I dropped it.
So we have that incorporated some. And we want to add our milk. Regular milk. You can do almond milk. 1%, 2% whole milk.
I don't like regular milk.
Just enough to get it mixed in. I don't know why I'm using this little spoon.
I don't like almond milk. I like almond milk.
You can, yeah, I do it with almond milk too. You can do almond milk. And so depending on the consistency of how creamy you want it, I like it thick. I think this is good. I'm gonna let this simmer on a super low heat to let all of the flavors get incorporated. Like to where it's like the fire is almost off. So low, low, low. For just maybe 2 minutes and stir it up some more. You can add some chives to it, parsley to make it pretty. So just like I said with my grits, once you see it kind of sizzling and bubble, that's a good sign. And everything should be melted as far as the cheese and the butter and the sour cream. You want to stir it in a little more. I guess my little man is ready for these. And then it's ready to go. And let all that cold stuff heat up and sink into these potatoes. Just looks prettier. So I'm letting this pan warm up. I'm just gonna grab a handful for each person. So that's what you could do, depending on how many you're feeding. And then we want to get some minced garlic. I do not have time to get fresh garlic cloves and chop it and shred it and mince it. Make a beat. Salt. Thought this was pepper, but it's salt. Sprinkle it all over. Pepper. Look how pretty it is already. Now it's warming up. We will add some butter to this, but not right away. because that cooks too fast. I did have some vegetable oil at the bottom of this. I meant to say that. I put 2 tablespoons of it at the bottom so that it doesn't stick. Now we are frying up this garlic so it will kind of get toasty, but that's what makes this unique and good. If you do not have a grill pan like this, that's fine. It'll still be good. The only thing this does is it gives it some grill marks and cooks it up really good. But I would definitely recommend putting it in a cast iron because it's just something about cast iron pans or pots that get that flavor in there to be squambilly. So we're gonna let this go till the green beans soften up some and we can get the smell of the garlic out more. So for about a good 10 minutes, we'll be back. For the gravy, you can either do butter or leftover grease that you fried the meat in. We are going to enter it into a separate pan. And you do want to put equal parts cornstarch or flour. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just enough to coat the bottom of the pan, and then I will put an equal amount of cornstarch in. We have our mashed potatoes and green beans done. We're gonna go ahead and finish off this gravy. I had it warming up on a high heat, and then I did turn it down so that this doesn't burn. Equal parts. Okay. And just stir it in with a whisk. That way it breaks up. We want it smooth and not clumpy. And this goes very quickly, so you do want to stay on top of it. This is not something you can go step away from. So we want to cook off the flour taste or the cornstarch taste and let it kind of cook and simmer. We don't even have any more pork chops for me to smother over here. They've been tearing the pork chops up. Got 3 pork chops here. And I don't know how many I started off with. Like 10, 9, 8. But these will be the 3 that get smothered. Kind of want to just let this cook through. Do you want one that's not smothered? You can come get one. My poor husband is getting a piece of cold pizza. For the sake of demonstration, I guess I only need one. So what I do next is I go ahead and season it up. Alright. Salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, especially pepper, that's important. I'm running out of onion powder, that's done. That's a wrap on that. This is about a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of each. Okay. Pepper. Peppery gravy is just amazing. Oh, and it smells so good already. Ooh. Alrighty, look how pretty that's looking. I'm going to add in a tablespoon of chicken bouillon. So it's bubbling a little bit and thickening up. I'm gonna drop in some browning sauce. Love this stuff. It's gonna give it color and a little bit of flavor. It's not salty. And then watch the magic. It'll look like gravy soon. If you don't have browning sauce, you can use soy sauce, but not too much because that's salty. Or you could put like a beef bouillon instead of chicken bouillon or chicken broth, and that'll work just fine. That'll brown it. So we're gonna let this keep simmering until it's thick and everything is incorporated. Give it another maybe 4 minutes. So this is all bubbling up a lot, all over, and it is thick and it's to the consistency we want it. So we want to go ahead and drop in the pork chops. I'm going to coat one side, flip it, and let it sit there and simmer. So that's one side. Nice and coated, flip it. Let the other side get some love. And we'll keep this on a low simmer. Let me get a spoon and kind of scoop some in. Cover it up. You want to turn your heat down really low. You can put a top on that'll make them really moist, but you don't have to. And you want to let the pork chops just get the flavor of the gravy soaked into it. Let the flavors marry. We'll be back in 10 minutes. So we've had this going. It's been about 5 minutes. We're gonna flip these so they don't get sticky because it's bubbling up again. And then we'll go ahead and baste them. Make sure it's covered. Let them go for another 5 minutes. You can let it go for an hour if you want. It just depends on how much time you have, how much patience, how tender you want it. So yeah, guys, this is the finished product. With it plated up. You know, you can put a little bit of that gravy on your potatoes if you want. Mighty Scrum Dilly.